Hello and welcome to Ask Your Academic. Today's session will cover our MSc Biotechnology, MSc Biotechnology and Management, MSc Industrial Biotechnology with and without placement. We're joined by some of our programme teams, so they'll do their best to answer any questions that you have. We are recording the session, so please don't panic if you miss anything. We'll share that afterwards for you to catch up on. If you've got any questions specific to your application, fees, funding, things like that, I'll pop some helpful links into the chat for you. So we'll kick off with introductions. Lauren, would you like to start us off, please?
Hi there, I'm Lauren Headland, and I run the MSc Biotechnology program along with Sean, and I'm a lecturer in the School of Molecular Biosciences, and my research background is in kind of plant science, plant molecular biology, and plant genetics.
Perfect. Sean?
Hello, I'm Sean Collins. I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Glasgow. My research interests are bacterial genetics and how DNA gets tangled and untangled. I jointly run the MSc in Biotechnology with Lauren, and I teach two of the courses for that MSc. Yeah.
Perfect. And Shirley?
Hi, everybody. My name is Professor Cheryl Warhead. I'm a Professor of Molecular Biotechnology here, again in the School of Molecular Biosciences. So I deliver some courses on all of the programs that we're going to discuss today, but I am running jointly with a colleague of mine, Rachel Masson, the Biotechnology and Management program. But then I'm also the program lead for the Industrial Biotechnology with and without placement. Thank you.
Perfect. I think a good start would be just an overview of the various programs that we've got. So Lauren, would you like to kick us off with that?
Yes, so Sean and I run the MSc Biotechnology program. You'll be hearing we've got kind of many different flavors of biotechnology program here. So Sean and I, it's biotechnology, and we cover quite a wide range of subjects, I would say, for biotechnology. So kind of according to students' interests, you can kind of follow down a number of different options, but we're covering quite a wide spectrum of all those fields that are really looking in how biology can be used to solve real world problems. So everything from synthetic biology to microbiology to plant biotechnology, antibiotics, kind of quite a wide spectrum. So we give lots of space, I would say, for students to explore their interests and see which facets of biotechnology might best suit you. Anything to add, Sean?
No, well done, Lauren. Thank you very much. I could name a few of the courses on the program if you like. So they start in semester one with a course called Molecular Research Skills, where you get a basic grounding in various molecular biology techniques that are important throughout biotechnology. Then there's a course I teach in industrial and environmental microbiology, although going to be slightly different next year, isn't it? Cheryl runs a course on recombinant protein expression, and then there's a number of option courses that maybe we'll get to, and we finish off with a course that I again teach in synthetic biology, and then of course there's the projects.
Perfect.
Again, we might have more about that, won't we?
And what about the biotechnology with management option? How does that differ?
Okay, so we started, as Lauren said, we have quite a few different biotechnology flavors of degree here. And I think that's just exemplifies the growing demand for biotechnology in industry and the number of jobs available in biotechnology industries these days. The biotechnology program that Sean and Lauren talked about started maybe about 16, 17 years ago now, when we were originally thinking about biotech and how it was starting to grow and develop as an industry. And then maybe over time, we've realized that not all of our graduates want to go into this sort of same area of biotechnology. So as Sean mentioned, we have a lot of optional courses that come up in the second semester, allowing you to sort of tailor your degree structure to where your research interests or your job interests, your future career direction lies. As we started to do that, we came under the impression that there's many different types of careers in biotechnology. So we worked together with the Adam Smith Business School here at the University of Glasgow and developed a program called Biotechnology and Management. So this program gives you a large amount of experience of maybe you're not what you're coming from as an undergraduate, but thinking about what you want to do into sort of maybe transfer the direction of your future career into working into that side of biotechnology, which might be something like project management or marketing or operations or strategic change. So if you take the biotechnology and management program, you'll get a cluster of courses in that program, which are delivered by the business school to prepare you for how to take biology and put it into business and management. So the first course that you do there is something called Product Life Cycle, which is run by Dr. Rachel Masson. And that really talks about how you would take a biotechnology idea, how you would develop it, how you'd get it all the way to the process of distribution. So we build on that throughout the year. And in the first semester, you do a lot of courses in relation to the business school. And that's taking you don't need to have an expertise or a background in business to take that. So we really target this to biology, molecular biology graduates who want to then transfer their skill set into a business environment. So the first semester focuses a lot on sort of building that knowledge. And as I said, you're not expected to have the expertise to do that. And then in the second semester, we also then integrate what you've learned from the business school and what you've learned from that management side into the MBLS, what we call it, which is medical, veterinary and life sciences side. So into the biotechnological side of teaching. And there you'll take classes together with Sean and Lauren's cohorts of students. So the two biotechnology degrees become linked together. Then when you get to the final part of the project, which is what most people find, the best way to think about what they're going to do next, we give you that opportunity to work with management, work with biotech, or find some kind of collaborative project amongst the two, which will then help you with your future choices for career.
Perfect. Okay. And what about industrial biotech, Cheryl?
While I'm here, so this is a new program which we actually put online last year. So this one, whereas I said biotech had been around for maybe 16, 17 years, the biotech and management program has been running for probably about 6 or 7 years. So last year we decided to develop an industrial biotechnology program. And this is really an answer to the need for biotech students to go into industry with more of a sufficient knowledge of actually maybe the lab-based side of industry work. Sean and Lauren's program looks a lot at the molecular basis of biotechnology and really prepares people well for if they want to go into PhD or research study into the terms of biotech. Now, if you're interested in the industrial side of biotechnology, I would recommend that the new program in industrial biotech. So here we mix together a little bit of the two programs, but also add in a few industrial-based courses. So there's a couple of business options, there's a couple of biotech options, but we also add in things like fermentation and industrial microbiology into there, which should give a greater example of what industrial processes are. And we carry out this product lifecycle course as well. And here we're looking at the end-to-end industrial processes involved in biotech research. And so then you also get the opportunity to take optional courses in the second semester. So you can then tailor your degree. And I think that works with all the degrees we're going to talk to you about today. You can tailor your degree to different types of biotechnology. So if your interests are more aligned with what Lauren's are in terms of maybe the plant or the plant biotechnology side, then there is options to take in that direction. But if you're interested more in Sean's a version of biotechnology, which is more genetics-based biotechnology, then there is options to pursue biotech in those directions. So I think we offer a suite of programs covering a range of different degrees, and I think we're happy to talk to people about what their interests are, what their potential, why they want to take the degree, what their potential career destinations would be, and then we're happy to advise people on what would be probably the most appropriate stream for them.
Perfect. Something you didn't mention there, Cheryl, was the biocon aspect of the industrial biotech. Would you like to touch on that?
Yes. So this is actually the industrial biotechnology degree exists as an actual standalone degree, but we do have an option in the industrial biotechnology degree to take a large segment of your second semester out working in industry. So this particular version of this degree contains 2/3 of the second semester will actually be done on site with a company, and the company that we're actually working with is called Biocon. A lot of you may have heard of Biocon because it's the largest pharmaceutical company in India. And so we actually send the students, and my current students are actually on site in Bangalore just now, working on their placement, which they're at in Biocon. So within that placement, so we send the students across, and we cover all the flights and accommodation for the students who are actually sent across to Biocon. And they are working as part of the different components of Biocon. So Biocon is made up of the large company Biocon, but also Biocon Biologics and Syngene as additional companies within there. So the students are actually getting exposure to that on a weekly rotational basis. So some of them will be looking at discovery chemistry, they were looking at quality assurance, they'll be looking at scaling up, and they'll be looking at everything through to packaging and distribution of drugs. Now, within that 6 weeks that they spend in Bangalore, the students will also spend 2 weeks working in Biocon Academy, which is a training facility which works as part of the larger Biocon subsidiary. So within that training component, they will also be increasing their knowledge as to how industry and processes work. So this particular degree, the Industrial Biotechnology with Industrial Placement, this contains academic delivery from us here at the University of Glasgow. It contains industry delivery from our industrial partners in India. And it also contains a research element. So when the students come back to Glasgow in mid-March, which we're expecting them quite soon, then they will be able to finish Sean's synthetic biology course, and then they will be able to do their research project in the university. So it can be in a research lab, or it can be doing outreach and different types of projects involved in there as well. So that's another further iteration of our programs, but it offers a really unique experience for industry engagement as well, working.
Perfect, thank you. You've all mentioned it there, the research project. It's such a big part of a master's programme. Can you tell us a wee bit more about the process for that? So how do students select a topic? When do they do that? How do they get a supervisor? Things like that.
I'll probably take this one because I lead on the projects for kind of biotechnology students and those in the biotechnology and management that choose to do the biotech projects with us, and the industrial biotech as well. So the process for the project is that we have kind of 3 different types of project on offering to kind of suit different interests. So we have wet lab projects where you will go and you will join a research active group and become part of that group and be able to do some research, some experiments, get some hands-on with some different techniques and do kind of a project based around that. Our second type is what we would call a dry lab project. And so for this, you won't be going and doing the experiments yourself, but there will be a data set that will again be provided by a research active kind of lab group, and they will kind of guide you through the process of analysing that data. So if you're somebody who's more interested in kind of bioinformatics and looking at the data and doing the computer work a little bit more than the wet lab stuff, then these are the projects that will kind of really suit those students. And then our last type is we have kind of literature-based projects, which are based on a systematic style review. And these are a little bit more advanced than kind of just a literature review. So we're not just sending you out and say, find a few papers and write about them. We are teaching kind of core skills in finding relevant literature and rigorous processes for sorting through that, meta-analysis of the data, and then bringing that together in a final project report. So again, we've got kind of a nice coverage depending on what your skills and background are. And as for the process, we typically will release a list of kind of projects to students, normally happening around this time of year. And these projects span many different schools and even kind of across the college sometimes as well. So we will have students taking projects in the School of Engineering, for example. And students are able to kind of look through these, rank their projects, and then we match students with research groups that best fit their particular interests. And then you'll be able to undertake that project, which runs from about May time, so when Sean's synthetic biology course finishes, through to about August when you'll be finishing up the assessment for that. That's kind of how the projects work, at least from the biotech side.
Perfect. And is that similar for the industrial biotech then, Cheryl, as well? Yeah.
Yes. So Lauren works by coordinating, as she said, all the projects which work on the biotechnology side. So all those different types of projects she mentioned. In addition to that, the biotechnology and management students get the option to take a project with management where they'll be supervised by someone from the business school to deliver a management-based project. And we have a couple of smaller different options which work for both industrial biotechnology and biotechnology and management, which are things which involve, so we have one about writing a policy brief, which is more of a government related document, thinking about the process of biotechnology and how that works. And the final one we have, which is a new one, which is coming on this year for our current students, is a consultancy project with industry. So the way that this works is, again, we have this idea which is stimulated from talking to the business school, but we're talking to biotechnology industry about particular projects that they have or particular problems that they're facing, and they want a student to come in and consult on the project and do a piece of work to think about how they could find a solution to that project. So in those cases, students will talk directly to the industry, but they will also write a report for the university, and they'll have a joint supervisor within the university. So it gives a little bit more of exposure to industry, but also gives academic oversight into what we're expecting at the university.
Oh, that sounds really nice. And you have mentioned the optional courses within the MSCs. When do students select them? Is that something they need to do straight away, or do they get a bit of time to decide what they're wanting to do?
Well, I mean, I can answer that one, but I don't know if Lauren and Sean will chip in when you want to talk about the particular programs. But our students will arrive in obviously September, when they start to do what's compulsory courses for semester one. And then we will ask them about what options they want to take in semester two, which will start in January. So we ask them to make those decisions by November. And we don't just expect students to blindly make a decision based on a document. What we do is invite them to a presentation session where they will get given an example of the course lead for all the optional programs will present to them what you're going to learn, how it's going to be assessed, and what would be the content of the particular course. And so at that stage, people can ask some questions, or they can get a much better idea of the people who will be teaching it and how they feel that it fits in with what they want to do. And there is a reasonably large amount of options in the second semester, but there is a few things that we would expect the biotechnology students to take, and that's the first one of those is called Biotechnology Applications, which is the first course in the second semester, and that works for all of the degree programs. And we also want students to take Synthetic Biology, which Sean runs, which runs at the very end there. But in the intervening time, there is courses in different types of omics technologies. There's bioimaging. We have, as I said, plant biotechnology, genome editing, medical communications, sequencing and bioinformatics, I think. Is that right, Lauren, or is that not? No.
I think not that one, but we might be introducing kind of R-based course next year.
Yeah. But there is a lot of options, and they do get a lot of choices.
Perfect. Something that we're all students are often surprised about is the jump from undergraduate to postgraduate study, and how it's very different, that there's a bit less class time and more self-study time. So how much self-study is typically involved? What's expected of students out with the class time and contact time they get?
I think it really depends. And please chip in, Lauren and Sean, if you want to add to this. But I would say that it is a different level. an undergraduate program to a postgraduate program. We know that you all can study. We know that you're intelligent because you've gained entry to the university based on your undergraduate degree. But what we want at a master's level is to think at a master's level for study. So, you should be formulating your own ideas, and we will guide you in terms of giving you obviously lectures and courses and reading. But we want to see your ideas rather than just a capitulation of what we've taught you in a particular lecture. So for a lot of what you'll learn in biotech, there's a lot of practical element involved in that. And so in those cases, you might spend more contact time at the university than you might do in some other subjects, because we want to see you in the labs. We want to see you learning, picking up pipettes, doing the experiment, and then thinking about the outcomes and what the results you found and what they actually mean. So in that case, there's reasonably high contact time in a lot of the biotechnology courses, and any probably course that you'll take from a life sciences perspective. So I think it would be wrong to put a specific hours on that, because depending on the structure of the particular course you're learning from your program, it will differ depending on whether we expect sort of practical hours or whether it's a more theoretical knowledge. Sean, did you want to add anything?
You've mostly said what I was going to say. I was going to reinforce that a lot of our courses do have this practical component where students come in, they do put their lab coats on, get their pipettes out, and do work in the lab, run through a program of experiments. But then we do, even for those courses, we then tell you to go away, research the subject more, find out the background to what you've been doing in the lab, and write a full lab report. And we'll also give you topics to research where you might have to give a presentation or prepare a poster on that topic. Whereas other courses don't have a practical component like that, and there'll be more of the lecturers or the teachers will send you out to do research, to find out things for yourself and prepare a piece of work based on what you find out. Yeah, so different courses do have different structures that way.
Great. Could you tell us a wee bit more about, you mentioned the practical elements there. What kind of skills, what kind of stuff does the practical element cover?
So I guess I can deal with that at least at the beginning. So the first course that everybody starts with, molecular research skills, is you're learning very basic skills, but you're also doing basic molecular biology skills that you'll need for a lot of different biotechnology. So you'll be doing PCR, you'll be preparing DNA, you'll be running gels. We then come to industrial environmental microbiology, which is going to change its name slightly next year, but we'll have the same lab. Students actually go out and look for bacteria in the wild. They isolate bacteria from soil and look to see if those bacteria produce antibiotics, which is the classic way in biotechnology that new antibiotics have been produced. Synthetic biology, we run a lab where students are looking at gene regulation in bacteria and how you can manipulate this to get bacteria to do new things. So those are the sorts of things that I know about. But Lauren, anything to add, or is that a good idea of the kinds of things you do?
I think that's a pretty good spread. I mean, there is Cheryl's course as well, for kind of purifying proteins and learning how to express proteins in bacterial systems. And then the one other course is in biotech applications, where again it's kind of looking at bacterial work, but kind of on a much more of a genetic side, and how we can use kind of fluorescent proteins in bacteria to tell us interesting things.
Perfect, thank you. And just our last question, we're just at the end of our session there, but what sort of careers do students typically go on to after they finish the MSc?
I can give you a few examples, and Lauren and Sean, if you want to chip in on this. So we have a reasonable amount of students who wish to go on to further study, and so we get quite a lot of students who want to apply for PhD positions, and that might be here at Glasgow or elsewhere. And the University of Glasgow is happy to advise in what PhD places are available in the College of MVLS. I would say a growing population of students who want to go to work in industry. And as I said before, when we're designing the new programs and the content inside of those, we are already thinking about what the career destination of students is. This we really see the purpose of what you're doing. An MSc should be your stepping stone from taking your undergraduate degree to thinking about what you want to do next in terms of your career. So we're happy for to provide this sort of range of degrees to give you entry into different areas. So if you think about a lot of large biotechnology companies, there's actually only probably about a third of the jobs will be standing at a bench doing lab work. All the other jobs that biotechnology graduates and will funnel into is we are sort of seeing a lot of our students do that. So it could be going into working in management, could be going to work in HR, it could be working to go into quality assurance, it could be working in regulations. We have people going into government. We have people who want to become educators, who want to become teachers. And so I think we cover this broad spectrum of where we would see people going into.
Great. Sean, Lauren, was there anything you wanted to add there?
I don't think too much more. I think Cheryl's probably covered that nicely. Maybe also charities and kind of policy, and then students kind of going into working in like the NHS, the National Health Service, for example, here in the UK. So kind of going into more of the slightly medical aligned biomedical fields.
Perfect. So lots of choice there. Well, thanks very much. That's us just at the end of our session. That went very quickly and we covered lots of information. So hopefully you'll find that helpful. If you do have any further questions while you're watching this back, you can get in touch with us via the programme email address on the web pages and we'll do our best to get back to you and help you. But yeah, thanks to our panel for taking time out of your day and hopefully we'll see you all come September. Thanks very much. Bye bye.